What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Doubling Down with Colin Sheehan here on the Trust the Profits YouTube page. Last week, we went out west. We had got our single home, or Matt Dinnerman did, but we couldn't close in the second leg. This week, we go down to New Orleans to see if we can have some better luck. But first, this week's question of the day. I think with the future pools that we saw some betting, there's certainly some interest in the Rachel Alexander this weekend. My question is easy. It's a yes or no. Will we see the Oaks or Derby winner this weekend at the fairgrounds? Stay tuned for Doubling Down with Colin Sheehan. Welcome back, everybody. This is Doubling Down with Colin Sheehan, where we put together a daily double for you. I'm so glad this week to be joined by Kevin Kilroy. He is at Trust Your Luck on Twitter. Kevin, thanks so much for doing this and welcome to the show.
Yeah, Colin, thanks for thinking of me, man. I mean, thanks for turning your attention to fairgrounds. It's an exciting time around here. You know, we've seen some good runners come through these series to make an impact there in that first weekend of May. So, yeah, excited to talk about it. And I love the fact that you focus on the daily double. What a great bet to just to narrow in and get your opinions out there. So, yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and that's the theme of this show. Is I've always tried to focus my content towards people that are maybe new to betting, especially new to horse race betting. I think the daily double is a great place to start before you get lured into the beautiful pick 4, pick 5s, and pick 6s. And what I love to do on this show is bring up the standings because it takes the pressure off you, Kevin, because you can see all my guests are just red. Vinny got knocked off. He was in the 50s or 40s, but we had to put on Matt Dinnerman there last week. I, through 23 episodes, however, have maintained a $39 profit, and I've been in the green ever since the beginning of this show. And that's not to brag, but it's to, I guess it is a little bit. That's okay. But the point of this is to show the guests. So there's no pressure on you to have a winning ticket this weekend because not many people can do it. And I think that is also important for beginning bettors, that it's hard to put two together, never mind 4, 5, or 6, and takes a lot of skill. Do you play the daily double?
Yeah, I do play the double. You know, it's all about when I find my strongest opinion on a card or a couple strongest opinions, and then looking to the sides of them, right, and seeing what else is there and if there's money to be there. I got to ask though. So what do you think your key to your success has been? Has it been getting skinny? Has it been just strong handicapping opinions? Has it been structure, or do you think just seeing the ball?
I would say the key is, and I usually am definitely against favorites. I don't really play the favorites. And if I play the favorites, my tickets are going to be $1, $2, or $3. And if I have a favorite in one race, I'm going to try and maybe put together some long shots in the second leg of that. When I do have a strong feeling against a favorite, my ticket's going to be between $8 and $12, and I'm not going to have a favorite in either of those legs. And so I've hit a couple of times. I remember very specifically Senior Buscador in the race that he had. It was in like October or November. I don't remember the race specifically, but that paid $55. And I've been luckily, the last couple of weeks have been a couple $8, $9, $10 profits, and you just keep chipping away at it to try and stay in the positive. And I think this week, you will see that I am single on one leg, and we'll talk through that because you are single on that leg as well. But we go different ways.
Well, I love what you're saying, that you really you bet more when you are against the favorite, right? That you're really trying to take advantage of that opportunity and score big. I think a lot of times, bettors, whether you're early or late, you tighten up when you see that other people aren't betting your opinion, right? And you maybe doubt it a little bit like that. And you don't see that as really the opportunity that we're looking for in this sport, when you're sort of the lone person in the room who's seeing what's going to happen, and you can really take advantage of that. And we're going to get into that big time with this race.
And that's my biggest struggle personally, is when I get influenced by what I see instead of what I feel or what I know. And you just nailed that on the head, especially for me. And I've gotten better at that. And this is easy because we do it Wednesday. And so whatever happens between Wednesday and Saturday is not going to influence what I put out there. And I think that's part of the reason I do better on this as well. When it comes to Saturday and I see my single who I was really high on, suddenly the odds are bad, and I'm like, oh, everyone's not talking about it. I tend to get a little shy, as opposed to seeing that as the opportunity that it can be. And I think that's a really great point, and something that I'm continuously working on. That's mental. That's like, that's like just gut and mental. That's not doing the work.
Yeah, that's the two big things that come up for me, week in, week out is one, the discipline to like, all right, this is how I'm seeing it. And just I'm going to put those bets in. I'm not going to change them. But then the other side of it, being able to react to where that value sort of appears and you didn't see it coming. And then that sort of like, well, I didn't like that horse as much, but the overlay is there, right? The value is there, and the risk or the reward is worth the risk, right? So it's kind of those two things. And if I was a computer and I could just sort of do exactly what I said I was going to do every Wednesday, I think that would be nice to have as sort of like a base to my betting, and then just be live in the moment to find those opportunities. So you're getting me thinking about how to sort of cook up a different betting strategy over the long term.
Well, let's dive right into it. We're going to the fairgrounds for the Rachel Alexandra and the Risen Star. That is where the attention is this weekend. And we have a field of 6. They're going a mile and the 16th. This race is Kentucky Oaks points eligible for the first 5 finishers. So there's only going to be one horse here that is left out on adding some points to the total. It's 50 points to the winner. So basically, both this and the Risen Star, the winner of these races, barring injuries or the things that take horses off the trails, you're going to see some starters in the Derby and the Oaks this weekend, which also leads to what my question of the day was will we see the Derby or Oaks winner this weekend? However, I am really excited for the return of Hoosier Filly. This is an Intimissia filly who's 3 for 3. She hasn't raced since November 26th, winning the Goldenrod. But man, does she make it look so simple when not even being asked and pulling away in the Goldenrod. Has come back with 3 bullet works. And what's really intriguing as we tape this, Hoosier Filly took a lot of money in the Kentucky Derby futures pool, ended up 11-1 and is 37-1 currently in the Circa futures for the Kentucky Derby. So no surprise for the way that I've gushed over Hoosier Filly on this show and also my Kentucky Derby show. Hoosier Filly is the one that I'm going to single and go with on this first leg. But I have I did make some comments on another horse, and I'm going to let you talk about who you like in this race.
Yeah. First, just some thoughts on Hoosier Filly. If you do like her, you definitely want a single, right? Like as soon as you put one other horse with that, you're doubling the price of your ticket. And you're not going to be gaining value and gaining equity, right? So if you do like Hoosier Filly, go all in with that. Take a stand with that opinion and try to make sure you're finding value in that next leg, because she's going to get bet. Yeah, she was bet down 11-1 there in the Kentucky Derby future pool, which is the third choice behind all others and Fort. So she's been working fantastic. She's been moving really well, and this is her first run as a 3-year-old, right? She's got 3 works coming in. Usually we see a horse get more than that as they prep, right? As they get ready to sharpen up for the race. And, Tom Amos, the trainer, keeps on saying like, she just doesn't need it, right? She doesn't need it. And you could see that with that first effort she did. That bullet was pretty impressive. She's going to get bet heavy. She's got so much narrative around her, right? And sometimes it's important to think about, or I try to think about getting away from like a horse that I'm attached to emotionally or attached to in terms of the narrative. Tom Amos has said this is the best horse he's ever had, and he's had some really good ones, and just sort of all the buzz, because there's going to be a lot of value taken out of the markets because people are going to get down on that. People who don't know horse racing might want to bet on Hoosier Filly, right? Just to have a piece of what's going on there. And then B, it can sometimes just blind me from the data. So with this race, it's just a classic scenario. We have got one commanding speed horse. We've got Miracle coming in for Todd Pletcher, and John Velasquez, one of the most dangerous front running riders in the sport, in the history of the sport, is up on this, has this outside spot, should be able to break and get over. And just going 1 mile, 1/16th, it's it's a long stretch here at Fairgrounds, right? It's a very long stretch. I think the longest in the sport in America. And so you see a lot of runners get run down, but when you're the commanding speed, with a guy like Johnny V, he'll save enough to be able to keep on fighting. It won't be a cheap speed scenario where you see a horse just kind of go until they pass out, right? He'll save enough. And looking at the figures, I haven't looked at the Thoroughgraph yet, but looking at the Ragozin figures, Miracle fits big time, and doesn't quite look exactly the same in terms of that with looking at the some of the other speed figures out there. So 12-1 the morning line. We'll see what we get. It might be somewhere close to that. Chop Chop is another one that's interesting in there. Putting the blinkers on after not being able to get by the Alley's look last time, but definitely going to take a lot of money there. Cox has been having so much success. So I'm going to lean into Miracle with this one and just try to really get a big score in this daily double pool, because I know there's just going to be a lot of value in having that opinion, and that commanding speed angle is it's just a classic one in terms of handicapping. The commanding speed horse often has his or her way.
Yeah, and so the 6 Miracle was definitely one that I circled, and that price is really nice. But back to your point on Who's Your Filly, what I preach on this show is, as we get close to the post time for this race, the great advantage of the daily double is looking at what the will pays will be in the probables. You know exactly what the price is going to be, and that's how you are successful with a horse like Who's Your Filly in making money. I wouldn't bet Who's Your Filly here to win, but in a daily double, if I really like Who's Your Filly, which I do, that's where I can look at what the probables will be. And since the next race we know is a field of 14, and probably I will say it is the best prep race we've had so far, it's one of the best betting races. So I think the value that you're going to get for Who's Your Filly when you're looking at the daily double is where I would like to take advantage of that. And trust me, if you watch this show, I'm not the person that's taken the 6-5 favorites to make it. But Who's Your Filly is one. I'm not interested in Chop Chop at all. 2 for 2 on the turf, 0 for 3 on the dirt. Granted, he had a really slow she had a really slow start in the Alcibiades. Then you got the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. I'm high on Ellie's look, so to me that loss wasn't as bad. But I'll pass on a horse that's 0 for 3 on the dirt when I've seen what I've seen from a horse like Who's Your Filly. The other horse I was interested in was actually number 5, Pretty Mischievous. 3 for 4 with only the one loss being to Who's Your Filly in the Goldenrod. I wish the price was a little bit better than the 9-2 because of Who's Your Filly. Maybe when I'm looking at the will pays at the moment of leading up to the Rachel Alexander, I may consider that, but I'm not going to, like you said, you're either Who's Your Filly and you're singled, or, if I was going to maybe do what you're doing, I might go the 5 and the 6. Because if I get beat if Who's Your Filly gets beat and I have Miracle but not the other one, then I'm going to be, and you're going to get good prices on both of those.
Yeah, I think that's really true. Like sometimes the opinion is like, oh, I'm against a favorite. And in that situation, you really want to make sure that you get it right, and if you're like, well, I was against a favorite, but I got, attached to this whole, front runner going to get it done in Miracle. And then I'm like, I was right, but I have no money in my pocket. I think that's really important. I'm glad you're talking about looking at the pools, because this is the one that we really get to watch and see where the money's going. And it's nice to start looking at them early and just kind of see how they're adjusting. Because sometimes you can see the trend of like, oh, it looks like, I'm getting $12 on this, but it's been going down from 20 for some stream, and big bet might be coming and knock it down a bit lower. And one thing I love about the daily double pool is that when you do have a strong opinion, especially when you have 2 strong opinions, you can just go $100 straight, right? I mean, I really do like a horse in the next race, Tappett's Conquest, and I mean, Who's Your Filly could definitely win. So I'd also be looking at what that will pay is. If I can get a nice price that I think is justified, I could just key up those 2 together and just try to make that big score by being precise and just knocking it out of the park in both races.
And one way I will also use it to take advantage of those seeing the probables is if I really like Who's Your Filly and I like Miracle, and Miracle's 12-1, I will be paying very close attention to what that exactor is, because that to me is also another way you make money off Who's Your Filly. And this is the way I found of making money on these big favorites is, and it works pretty good. It sounds silly, but taking the highest price horse for second in the exacta and hammering that, which is what happened in the with Newgate. I forget who the horse that came in second there, but heavy favorite with Baffert. That was the All the Baffert race. But the 4th favorite there, Fun to Dream, I think his name was, or something like that, caught second and paid like $14. And that's something to pay attention to. So watch for those probables on the exacta pool as well.
Yeah, especially with that front runner like Miracle, that Pletcher's thinking maybe we don't get them all, but we're going to get some points here, right? And whether it's second or third, I think that's when you definitely want to use underneath. Vava's also been looking really nice. She's been looking beautiful. She came back from Florida, and she's just her coat, it just looks so healthy, and she's dappled out, and she's been moving well. So there's some good runners in here, whether they all step up and have their best race ever this one, or whether we're going to see them in the Kentucky Oaks is the other story, So I'm excited about that field.
So we move on to the Risen Star, which I'm so pumped that the past performances came out on Sunday. I mean, I'm just preaching that on this show. It gives me an opportunity. If tracks want me to promote their what they have coming up, Gulfstream and Fairgrounds are great about being able to give me that information so that we can tape something like this and get this out there early. And now we've even got morning lines, which I usually don't even have when I tape this show. So we no excuses. Sometimes that's a cop out. Oh, we don't know what the morning line is. But we have the Risen Star Grade 2, which is also eligible for Kentucky Derby points, 50 to the winner, 20 to second. A very strong field of 14. As I said, this is definitely the best prep race to date. I usually lean towards proven commodities. So the horses that have only won a maiden claiming win and a graded stakes, I tend to pass on. Sorry Quiet as Midnight. We also have interesting with number 5, Harlow Cap. It's the first start outside of the Bob Baffert barn. So he's now eligible for points. Moves to Steve Asmussen and Johnny V. As I talked about with using Hoosier Philly, I'm really liking the prices I saw here. And you already gave a little sneak peek on who you like, which is Tappett's Conquest. And I smiled because if you follow Trust the Profits and you follow me, Tappett's Conquest has been, he's been my boy. He's been the one I've been touting. I tend to fall in love with horses. You said take your heart out of it. Well, Loggins, as everyone who's followed me, has been my boy. I finally have moved on. Loggins has entered Barber Road territory. I can't be playing those two anymore. But Tappett's Conquest is so excited to see him come back here. If you look at a horse like Determinedly, who beat Tappett's Conquest last time out, to me, Determinedly doesn't want that extra ground. Tappett's Conquest on the gallop out was not only in a real tight spot for a young horse, which could have been, caused him to shy back. I think he is. I think the pace sits up nice for him, and he's all Tappett's Conquest for me. I have a couple other on my ticket, but you mentioned Tappett's Conquests. What are you seeing from him you like?
Yeah, so I like that you're talking about that spot that Tappett's Conquest was in that last race. Number one, Determinedly slowed it up so bad, and talk about a commanding speed situation, was able to get the win by just going slow out front and having enough left. And then Tappett's Conquest was in there. I was talking to his rider, to Florent Giroux, and he said, yeah, he was just, like you said, he was just shying away from passing on the inside, right? Just being a little bit green still mentally, not quite ready to make that charge through that spot. And these 3-year-olds, we're looking at 3-year-olds here, they're still developing, right? They're developing physically, they're developing mentally. And that's a big part of how you make money this time of year, right? Is the fact that it's not just about what they did last time, it's how they're going to step forward. Tappett's Conquest, to me, from watching him train. So he just on Saturday morning, he was in company, and he was just sent right behind a Walsh pair. And that Walsh pair, Brendan Walsh, the trainer, Pretty Mischievous, was in that. And Tappett's Conquest was able to run down Pretty Mischievous before the finish line. And then in the finish, and the gallop up, was halfway through the second turn, still full of energy. He looked just amazing. I know, everybody's been, the exercise riders and the barn have really loved how he's been training. I think he's going to love the added distance. I think he's a little bit dirtied up in terms of the number that he got in terms of his speed figure and what we're seeing on the graphs in that last race because of the pace setup and because he just was a little bit shy there. But he did finally make it through. And Flo was saying, he's like, I think maybe he thought he won the race because he did pass him, right? He did pass him, and he didn't, quite realize that it was a little bit too late. So a little bit of confidence there too, which is another big thing. We forget that these horses are athletes and they have a whole psychology to them themselves. And the trainers talk about that stuff in really neat ways. So I think Tappett's Conquest is the one there. I do think he's going to get bet. I think he will be the second choice. I'm not sure though. I could see him getting down to favoritism, and that makes me a little bit nervous, in terms of keying up like Hoosier Philly and Tappett's Conquest just in a straight, because I don't think Victory Formation is going to be the favorite. I think distance is a big question. There's a lot of speed signed on in there, and he's made the 3-1 morning line favorite. I know also Angel of Empire Brad was saying he really thinks that this runner is going to appreciate more ground, stretching out from that last mile, the furthest he had been, and his leggy is long, and if he can get the right trip, it's a big field. Getting the right trip could be hard. So I do want to use one of the front runners in there, because all the time you see it. Oh, look at all this speed signed on, and nobody sends, right? Everybody's a little bit reluctant. Nobody wants to be the jockey who sacrifices their horse out front. But I mean, a horse like Shaq Diesel, like what's he going to do but send, right? And Private Creed is stuck outside, and that's tough. He's definitely showed speed, but I do feel like Harlow Cap, looking at his rag figure, he seems dangerous in here. He just got here Monday night. So he's not going to work out here. You know, he breezed his last breeze at Santa Anita. He's a Bob Baffert trainee. You know, he's sharp this time of year. They really try to get the points. See if they're not trying to win the whole thing. And Steve's basically just said, like, he hope he puts the saddle on the right horse. So Johnny B's up on that one. So I want to use that one. I think we'll probably be able to get some money, pretty good price there. Two Phils. He ran a good effort last time. It wasn't quite so impressive visually. It kind of seems like he just had that one move and that's it. But I think this is the race that they're really pointing to. And Instant Coffee was live and really was able to run well to get him last time. And Two Phils has stayed at the track. You know, he's based in Chicago with Ravelli or wherever he's based right now these days. And every day he's out there, he's just full of himself, and he's just moving across it really easily. And he just seems to be really feeling it. You can see when they're puffing out their chests, right? And they're just sort of proud of themselves on the track, and they want you to look at them. They want the other horses to look. And Two Phils is that 100%. So I think he can take another step forward. I think he'll be way low, below that 8-1. So I think, in terms of my opinion in this race, I really want to press up. I want to put more of my daily double money on the 6 with Angel of Empire, the 2 Cox horses, and Tappett's Conquest. I've got more confidence that they'll be able to get it done. But I do feel like in terms of the other ones, we've got Single Ruler, which I haven't talked about yet. He just stepped up huge, had a huge pace setup, but still a big number on the sheets. And Kent Stormer decides to run him here instead of Confidence Game because he knows it's his time. Pace should set up for a big close. It could be really similar to that last run. And that's going to be a huge score if those two come together. And I'm really interested in that one. Harlecap, got to use, seems like the one out front. Two Phils, Tappett's Conquest. And I got all those on my ticket, right? All 5 of them? Yeah, I wasn't sure if I missed one out there.
No, you covered them all.
And Angel of Empire. So I feel like those are the ones I want to be live to, but press up on those 2 Cox horses.
Yeah, I had Angel of Empire on my ticket as well. What stood out to me is the jockey change. Saez has decided to move over to take Angel of Empire, where he had been running on Determinedly. So that stood out to me, and I was interested in Angel of Empire anyways. It's interesting you think Tappett's Conquest will be close to morning line favoritism. That I don't like to hear for a horse I thought I had under the radar, especially 2 and 3 back. But I think you're right. In Victory Formation, I can't use Hoosier Philly with Victory Formation in the theory that I'm taking on 2 favorites here. All the way on the outside, probably going to need to run a little bit like Litigate did in order to cross over the field, get out front. So we probably might be seeing something that he hasn't been done before if he falls behind. I really do like 2 Phils, and me and Matt DeSantis did a Raisin Star preview on Saturday night when this field came out. And we kind of talked ourselves into, if you asked me like a month and a half ago about 2 Phils, I would have been like, no way. But what I like to pay attention to on the 3-year-olds, I use Brisnet speed figures, is don't expect them to regress until they actually regress. And the speed figures on this horse have just continued to move up. This will be second off the layoff. He was much the best after Instant Coffee in that race in the Lecomte. I would just watch the replay this morning. It was Instant Coffee was clear, but 2 Phils was also clear of the rest of the field, and just couldn't catch up to Instant Coffee's. Put back-to-back speed figures of 93. I love to see coupled speed figures. To me, that's the possibility of another step forward if you see that. Now, of course, if he goes backwards, this will be a different opinion. I also love the 8-1 price. So a horse that I'm interested in that I see on the morning line of 8-1, I'm going to jump all over. So I did go Angel of Empire, Tappett's Conquest, and 2 Phils. One question I wanted to ask you about Private Creed. He's only raced on the turf. We saw him in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. To me, it was kind of just an afterthought. Didn't even consider putting him on the ticket because of that turf. You had mentioned him, but he's not on your ticket. Any interest in Private Creed?
No, I feel like Steve, we put all this stuff out. So if you want to read the quotes from these guys, you can find it on our website or we tweet them out. But Steve was saying that he definitely did want to, give him an opportunity to get points and try to get to the Derby. He felt like he deserves it. And he wanted to try him, going 2 turns on the dirt. He knows that the outside post, though, is really difficult. So far out here, one who's definitely shown speed is going to have to try to get position from that spot. It's going to be tough. I imagine this runner will either be caught wide or get in the mix and kind of be shuffled back in that first turn. And it's going to be a tough trip and on a surface that he's not used to. So it's definitely what I want to fade. If he gets bet, all the better. It's just, makes that opinion even stronger. But yeah, that's the one that. Yeah, that and Silver Heights, it would take another step forward, but still just 2 races. So, he deserves that chance too, but I haven't been too impressed with his runs here. That third and the last one was still sitting up close to that pace, but never really making a menacing move, But yeah, who's going to be the favorite in this race? I mean, victory formation, I get it, but he's going to be compromised by the spot out here. He's done it from the far outside. He's from Cox. He's got Flavian, I think the favorite might be 4-1 or something, as I'm thinking through this. It's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be a great opportunity to keep an eye at the probables and get a sense for that, because you might find something that you really like a horse and that price just kind of like makes your jaw drop, and that's something you want to take a swing with, right? Because it's not about being right; it's about being getting paid when you are right. And if you just want to cash a ticket, that's one thing. But these are some big opportunities for good scores in the 4 and 5 digits. So this could be the type of race that offers that up. And if you've got a horse that you like in that second leg, don't be shy about leaning into that.
All Tappett's Conquest, baby. Lastly, Single Ruler. I just wanted to mention 2 back. Single Ruler lost to Banishing. I don't want to pass over that race 8 on this card is very interesting because you have Banishing, another horse named by the name of First Defender, Tappet shoes. So just because we pay attention to the big races doesn't mean to not pay attention to the undercard, where you might see, Banishing smoked Single Ruler, but it may just build up Single Ruler's resume if you see Banishing roll again in race 8. So I go single with Hoosier Philly in the first leg, with 6, 8, 10 in the second leg. It's only $3. That's also why I love this show, is you can't blame me for losing $3. Kevin Kilroy decides to go 6 Miracle in the first leg with 2, 5, 6, 8, 10. That'll cost you $5, and then he's giving you, to press that on what he is better feelings on, which is the 6 with the 6, 8. Kevin, let everyone know where they can find your content.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at Trust Your Luck. You got to trust your luck, got to put those opinions together, take a stand and just trust it. And find me there. I'm trying to tweet out stuff that's relevant to horse racing, but specifically to fairgrounds. I'm out here watching these horses in the mornings. I love doing that. So tweeting out videos and all that sort of stuff. So I'd love to hear from anybody, and keep on tune into this gambling game that we love so much. It's really a great opportunity. No even money, no money line type of stuff, right? You're gonna get paid when you're right.
I like to consider it a game of skill. I think that gambling makes it tricky when you hear the stories that aren't so great about the sport. But this is a puzzle, and when you listen to how we just looked at these 2 races, that's what's so intriguing to me and what I try to pass on to all my viewers. So until next time, this is Doubling Down with Colin Sheehan. Good luck and stay tuned.